Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition show where I preview and predict the 2023-24 German Bundesliga season. We have 18 teams in this league. How this plays out is the top four qualify for Champions League phase. Fifth place qualifies for the Europa League phase. Sixth place qualifies for the Conference League playoff round. 7th through 15th stays status quo. 16th qualifies for the relegation playoffs. And 17 and 18 get relegated to Bundesliga level 2. So, without further ado, here we go. All right, so coming in first place in Bundesliga this season, I have Bayern Munich. This team is really loaded. They have a ton of great players. Sergei Gnabry and Harry Kane comes over, which is huge. Jabal Musiala. And they also have Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting still on their team. Leroy Sané is still there. Kingsley Coman. So they're absolutely loaded. And the addition of Harry Kane is just absolute money. They do lose some key guys in transfers too, which is unfortunate, but this team's too loaded and too talented not to finish in first place in this league this season. Coming in second, I have Union Berlin. Union Berlin is interesting. They have a pretty good team for themselves as well. And by the way, Bayern last season, they won Bundesliga, won the DFL Super Cup, the DFB Pokal quarterfinals, UEFA Champions League. They were in the quarters as well. And Union Berlin last season, fourth in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal quarterfinals, UEFA Europa League round of 16. So Union Berlin, pretty well put together team. They do lose some key players from last season, but Schwaldo Becker, of course, is still there. Kevin Burhens is still there as well. Janet Carbearer, he is still there as well. And Danilo Deloki, he is still there as well. They have some good transfers coming in, including Brendan Aronson from Leeds United. Among them, Jamie Lewling from VfB Stuttgart's one of their transfers out. But I do think that Union Berlin makes a little bit of a jump. In third, I have RP Leipzig. Leipzig last season, third in Bundesliga. They won the DFB Pokal, DFL Super Cup runners-up, UEFA Champions League. They made the round of 16. They do lose Christopher Nkunku to Chelsea, which is a big loss for their team. But they do have some good players. Christoph Baumgartner comes in. Nicholas Seawald comes in. Luis Openda comes in. Fabio Carvalho is in. Benjamin Sesko's there. So they have some really good transfers coming in that I think makes up for those losses. In fourth place, I have SC Freiburg. FC Freiburg last year, 5th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal semifinals with a Europa League round of 16. Vincenzo Grifo still around. He's a really, really good player. They do have a lot of nice transfers coming in. Well-rounded team, of course. Coming in 5th, I have Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund is a team that I think takes a little bit of a step back. They came in 2nd last year in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal quarterfinals, and UEFA Champions League round of 16. Julian Brandt is still there, as is Sebastian Heller and Daniel Malin. So their big three is all still there. But they do lose Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid, which is a pretty significant loss. So I think this team is in pretty good shape. Coming in 6th, I have Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen last season, 6th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal first round, UEFA Champions League group stage, Europa League semifinals. They lose Moussa Diaby to Aston Villa, which is a pretty significant loss. They do have some talent. Their goalie, Lucas Hradecki, is their captain. He's very good. But they do have a well-rounded roster with some nice transfers coming in. Coming in 7th, I have Frankfurt. Frankfurt last season, 7th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal runners-up, Champions League round of 16, Super Cup runners-up. That's pretty cool. They still have Randall Kolo Muani, which is huge. He is their go-to guy. They have some nice transfers coming in, which I think is big for this team. And I like the talent on this squad as well. Coming in 8th, I have FC Mainz 05. Mainz is an interesting team. Last season, 9th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal round of 16. They do lose Marcus Invergarston, which is a significant loss for them. They have Sepp van den Berg from Liverpool in. Sylvan Widmer's their captain, so they're good on defense. And then their goalie, Robin Zentner, is pretty good as well. Coming in 9th, I have Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim is a team that last season, 12th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal round of 16. I think they take a step up this year. Andre Kramovic is still there. They have some good transfers coming in on this roster. And they have some guys I like that are on loan from other clubs as well. Coming in 9th, or I'm sorry, this is Hoffenheim we're doing now. 10th, I have Wolfsburg. VfL Wolfsburg last season, 8th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal round of 16. They still have Yannick Gerhardt, which is good for them, and Jonas Wynn is there as well. So this season, I think they might take a little bit of a step backward. There's some players out on loan that I think they'll miss, and I think there's guys that are leaving for other teams, like transfer-wise, that they'll miss as well. Coming in 11th, I have FC Köln. FC Köln last season, 11th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal first round, Conference League, group stage. So they do lose Elise Shaqiri to Frankfurt, which is a big loss for them. But they still have Dijon Luzbicic, which is good. But they have some nice guys coming over on loans or transfers and whatnot. So I think they'll be status quo. Coming in 12th, I have Borussia Mönchengladbach. Mönchengladbach, so 10th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal second round last season. They lost Marcus Thuram to Inter Milan, which is a big deal. So that I think will hurt them. But they do have some other guys I like that are transfers coming in. Coming in 13th, I have Bochum. VfL Bochum's an interesting team. 14th in Bundesliga last year, DFB Pokal round of 16. Philip Hoffman's still around. He's a decent player for them. And then the rest of their roster pretty much stays status quo, which is good for them. 14th, I have Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen, I debated on putting in the bottom three, but I did not. 13th in Bundesliga last year, DFB Pokal second round. Nicholas Füllkrug is still there, which is big for them. And the rest of the roster pretty much stays status quo as well, although they do have some key losses. 15th, I have FC Heidenheim. Heidenheim is a squad that last year they were in Bundesliga 2. They got promoted and they won that league. DFB Pokal second round. They do have a kick-ass goal scorer, Tim Kleidenist, and he's still around, so that is great news for them. And they do have a lot of depth on their team, which I think that they will avoid the bottom three. Coming in 16th, I have VfB Stuttgart. Stuttgart last season, 16th in Bundesliga. They won the playoff to stay in Bundesliga. Semifinals for DFB Pokal. They still have their league goal scorer in Serhu Girassi, which is big for them. And they do have some nice transfers coming in as well. Their captain's still there as well, which is good. So I think they qualify for the playoff. 17th going to Bundesliga 2. I have FC Augsburg in 17th. So Augsburg last season, 15th in Bundesliga, DFB Pokal second round. A very lower scoring team that's not deep. Mergim Berisha is still there. And some of their other guys are still there. Their captain, Jeffrey Gulu's still there. Some guys on loan from other teams. But I think that they're at the bottom. And at the bottom, in 18th, I have SV Darmstadt. Darmstadt last season actually came in first in Bundesliga 2. DFB Pokal round of 16. Philip Tietz is still there. He's their leading goal scorer. Fabian Holland's their captain defenseman. But their roster, to me, isn't really great, so I have them at the bottom of the league. So, again, we're going to go over where I have everybody. So, qualifying for the Champions League phase, I have Bayern, Union Berlin, RP Leipzig, and SC Freiburg. Qualifying for the Europa League phase, I have Dortmund. Qualifying for the Conference League playoff round, Leverkusen. Status quo, as I like to say, Frankfurt, FC Mainz, Hoffenheim, Wolfsburg, FC Köln, Mönchengladbach, Bochum, Werder Bremen, and FC Heidenheim. Relegation playoffs, Stuttgart, and dropping to 2 Bundesliga, FC Augsburg, and SV Darmstadt. All right, so there you have it for the German Bundesliga predictions. And next up will be Italian Serie A.